MASH, reviewed by Pauline Kael. The New Yorker, January 24, 1970. MASH is a marvelously unstable comedy, a tough, funny, and sophisticated burlesque of military attitudes that is, at the same time, a tale of chivalry. It's a sick joke, but it's also generous and romantic, an erratic, episodic film, full of the pleasures of the unexpected. I think it's the closest an American movie has come to the kind of constantly surprising mixture in Shoot the Piano Player, though MASH moves so fast that it's over before you have time to think of comparisons. While it's going on, you're busy listening to some of the best overlapping comic dialogue ever recorded. The picture has so much spirit that you keep laughing, and without discomfort, because all the targets should be laughed at. The laughter is at the horrors and absurdities of war, and specifically at people who flourish in the military bureaucracy. The title letters stand for Mobile Army Surgical Hospital. The heroes, played by Donald Sutherland and Elliot Gould, are combat surgeons patching up casualties a few miles from the front during the Korean War. They do their surgery in style, with humor. They're hip Galahads, saving lives while ragging the military bureaucracy. They are so quick to react to bull, and in startling, unpredictable ways, that the comedy is, at times, almost a poetic fantasy. There's a surreal innocence about the movie. Though the setting makes it seem a black comedy, it's a cheery black comedy. The heroes win at everything. It's a modern kid's dream of glory. Holden Caulfield would, I think, approve of them. They're great surgeons, athletes, dashing men of the world, sexy, full of noblesse oblige, but ruthless to those with pretensions, and lethal to hypocrites. They're so good at what they do that even the military brass admires them. They're winners in the war with the army. War comedies in the past have usually been about the little guys who foul things up and become heroes by accident. Chaplin in Shoulder Arms, Danny Kaye in Up in Arms. In that comedy tradition, the sad sack recruit is too stupid to comprehend military ritual. These heroes are too smart to put up with it. Sutherland and Gould are more like an updated version of Edmund Lowe's and Victor McLaglen's Sergeant Quirt and Captain Flagg from What Price Glory and The Cockeyed World. Movies in which the heroes retain their personal style and their camaraderie in the midst of blood and muck and the general insanity of war. One knows that, though what goes on at this surgical station seems utterly crazy, it's only a small distortion of actual wartime situations. The pretty little helicopters delivering the bloody casualties are a surreal image, all right, but part of the authentic surrealism of modern warfare. The jokes the surgeons make about their butcher shop work are a form of plain talk. The movie isn't naive, but it isn't nihilistic either. The surgery room looks insane and is presented as insane, but as the insanity in which we must preserve the values of sanity and function as a sane men. An incompetent doctor is treated as a foul object. Competence is one of the values the movie respects, even when it is demonstrated by a nurse, played by Sally Kellerman, who is a pompous fool. The heroes are always on the side of decency and sanity. That's why they are contemptuous of the bureaucracy. They are heroes because they are competent and sane and gallant, and in this insane situation, their gallantry takes the form of scabrous comedy. The Quirt and Flagg films were considered highly profane in their day, and I am happy to say that MASH, taking full advantage of the new permissive rating system, is blessedly profane. I've rarely heard four-letter words used so exquisitely well in a movie, and with such efficacy and glee. I salute MASH for its contribution to the art of talking dirty. The profanity, which is an extension of adolescent humor, is central to the idea of the movie. The silliness of adolescence, compulsively making jokes, seeing the ridiculous in everything, is what makes sanity possible here. The doctor, who rejects adolescent behavior, flips out. Adolescent pride in skills and games, in mixing a martini, or in devising a fishing lure, or in golfing, keeps the men from becoming maniacs. Sutherland and Gould, and Tom Skerritt as a third surgeon, and a lot of freakishly talented new-to-movies actors are relaxed and loose in their roles. Their style of acting underscores the point of the picture, which is that people who aren't hung up by pretensions, people who are loose and profane and have some empathy, people who can joke about anything, can function and maybe even do something useful in what may appear to be insane circumstances. There's also a lot of slapstick in the movie, some of it a little like Operation Mad Ball, a 50s service comedy that had some great moments, but was still tied to a sanctimonious approach to life and love. What holds the disparate elements of MASH together in the precarious balance that is the movie's chief charm is a free-for-all, throwaway attitude. The picture looks as if the people who made it had a good time, as if they played with it and improvised and took some chances. It's elegantly made, and yet it doesn't have that overplanned rigidity of so many Hollywood movies. The cinematography by Harold E. Stein is very fine, full of dust and muddy olive-green tones. It has immediacy and the clarity possible in Panavision. The editing and the sound engineering are surprisingly quick-witted. When the dialogue overlaps, you hear just what you should, but it doesn't seem all worked out and set. The sound seems to bounce off things so that the words just catch your ear. The throwaway stuff isn't really thrown away. It all helps to create the free, graceful atmosphere that sustains the movie and keeps it consistently funny. The director, Robert Altman, has a great feel for low-keyed American humor. With the help of Ring Lardner Jr.'s script from a novel by a combat surgeon, Altman has made a real sport of a movie, which combines traditional roustabout comedy with modern attitudes. As in other good comedies, there's often a mixture of what seems perfectly straight stuff and what seems incredible fantasy. And yet, when we try to say which is which, we can't. MASH affects us on a bewildering number of levels, like the Radio Tokyo versions of American songs on the camp loudspeaker system. All this may sound more like a testimonial than a review, but I don't know when I've had such a good time at a movie. Many of the best recent American movies leave you feeling that there's nothing to do but get stoned and die, that that's your proper fate as an American. This movie heals a breach in American movies. It's hip, but it isn't hopeless. A surgical hospital, where the doctor's hands are lost in chests and guts, is certainly an unlikely subject for a comedy. But I think MASH is the best American war comedy since sound came in, and the sanest American movie of recent years. Thank you for listening.